So you're probably wondering when I'm going to share my personal testimony with you. And I'd be happy to do that. It wasn't until I was on net that I really formulated it and realized and kind of pinpointed the moment. And when I did that, a lot came to life. You start to realize and notice the Lord's work. Notice that in my life. So it would go something like this. I grew up in a typical Catholic family. We were average, nominal. We would go to Mass on Sundays. We would, give up stuff during Lent, and occasionally we would pray the Rosary, but nothing extreme. It was in my late junior high, high school days when I started to kind of fall away. I wasn't firmly rooted in the faith, and I just started falling away and wandering and questioning and getting into a lot of trouble, really. The summer before my senior year, I had an opportunity to go on a mission trip. And this was a mission trip with my old church friends, and it was in Trinidad. And so, even though I wasn't really that interested in my faith, I was interested in my friends, and I was interested in going to a foreign country that I had never been to before. While I was there, I was living with 20, 30, 40 other Catholics, and every day we were serving the poor. We were going to daily Mass, and we had times of prayer and fellowship every evening. I was living in this rich Catholic culture. I started to do something in my heart. I enjoyed it. I realized that I could have fun and live my faith. That living the faith wasn't a bore that I had to just rebel from. At the end of this trip, I went on a Steubenville youth retreat weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. And what I realized on that particular trip was that I was actually a bad Catholic. For years, I had prided myself on the fact that nobody knew I was a Catholic. And if it came up in conversation, inevitably the person would say, "Really? Kyle? I never would have guessed that you were a Catholic." And I thought that was cool. But after living as a Catholic for 2.5 weeks, I realized that that was entirely unfair to the Catholics who really were living their faith. That I was a bad representation of this organization that I said that I belonged to. And there was really only two logical possibilities. One, that I stop calling myself a Catholic. Or two, that I start changing and living more like a Catholic. And I remember making a conscious decision at that moment that I was going to start changing. And at first it was just really little things. Like I had to stop swearing. And then little by little, the Lord had more and more room in my heart. And He started transforming me. He started changing my desires. And so, in the end, and I'm not at the end, but now I can look back and see this slow transformation over the last 22 years. And I would like to invite you to ask the Lord what needs to change in your heart so that you can live truly as a Catholic.